ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another Dish Out the Confusion Thursday night hangout.
Hello, and I'm excited because today is Pi Day.
Yeah, so happy Pi Day, everybody.
One of the greatest numbers known to mankind.
Now, of course, we're not talking about just any type of pie.
We're talking about the irrational number of pi, 3145159, and that's as much as I remember.
Yes, it's a very long number. Let's just put it there.
It is pretty long, or so I'm told, but maybe it's also a giant lie of the Illuminati. And it's actually only 6 digits long this entire time, but they make this great big conspiracy of how long it is.
Yes. But you never know. You know?
What do we actually know?
Touche, sir. Touche. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, I, of course, am your host, Charlie, and I'm joined once again by the prolific conqueror himself, Zealeus.
Hello, Mr. Pie.
I'm not Mr. Pie, but I'll take the credit, I guess. Ladies and gentlemen, this is, of course, the Thursday Night Hangouts, a live show where we try our best to cover the topics most important to you during the show. If at any point during the show you have any topics, questions, opinions, all you got to do is drop in the chat, be it Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch, and we will add it to the show. If we do, unfortunately, run out of time, we'll add it to the very next show. So, without further ado, let's get the super duper sad news out of the way first. Okay? Yes.
There's sad news. I hate sad news.
March the 8th, so 6 days ago, Akira Toriyama, famous for his big thing is Dragon Ball. He's the manga artist behind Dragon Ball. He unfortunately passed away at the age of 68 due to an acute subdural hematoma. This guy, I just pulled up his list of stuff that he's had a hand in, and it's freaking impressive. Of course, all the Dragon Balls, Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, and then I'm going to butcher the last one, but Dragon Ball Daima, I think is how you pronounce it. And then, of course, he was not just an artist for manga. He was also an artist for video games. Mainly, I don't know if you may have heard of a couple of these titles. Dragon Quest, Chrono Trigger.
Yep.
Blue
Dragon,
Trigger, and of course all the Dragon Ball Z video games.
Always sad to hear a pioneer when he passes away.
Oh man, that sucks. Really, I mean, and subdural hematoma too.
No fun.
But so we're very saddened to hear that, and I know that there's a ton. I mean, since the 8th, it's kind of finally died down. My Facebook and my Twitter feeds have just been nothing but Dragon Ball Z tribute art.
You know what I've never actually seen in my 40-plus years of living?
I don't think that's possible.
I don't know why.
I think you've probably seen an episode somewhere, dude. If you watched any like Cartoon Network or Adult Swim or Toonami at all, then you at least stumbled upon a part of a Dragon Ball episode.
Never really watched that.
All right, fine, whatever.
Quick. Maybe now with my Crunchyroll subscription, I should watch an episode in honor.
They definitely have some Dragon Ball Z on there. All right. Now, let's try to see. I'm going to try to find some news that's upbeat. Okay.
Is there any happy news in the world? It's always like people being laid off, the galaxy is collapsing, this video game's having issues, and it's being
okay. Here we go. All right. So there was talk of a Star Wars movie a while back. I don't remember how long back, but
The Force Awakens.
No, this was one that a lot of people thought was canned. The the individual who was attached to it, Patty Jenkins, was she moved on to another project, but since that project, what went in 3, was canceled, she has now come out and said that she is still working on Star Wars Rogue Squadron project, which a lot of people thought was dead or had been canceled. And this, of course, is it's a fighter pilot movie within Star Wars universe. And apparently she's still... Okay, so it was initially announced in 2020 with a scheduled release in 2023. But then delays and all that stuff. And then, of course, the director and screenwriter was pulled off for Wonder Woman 3. And also the writer's strike happened. So everything just went kind of sideways, and everyone thought it was dead. But apparently recently she admitted that she's still working on it. So there's hope for a new not a, like, you know, the main storyline, but a new Star Wars movie within the Star Wars universe, centered around the Rogue Squadron.
Which is funny because Star Wars, what is it, Rogue One, is still one of my favorite like Star Wars movies ever. So I'm all for some good spinoffs.
You know, my favorite thing about Rogue One, I want to make sure that I get that I'm thinking the right movie here. So I'm going to pull it up on IMDb while while I'm doing this. Is that the writers?
Yes, do not speak about Star Wars. You'll have people come out of the woodwork for you.
One of the writers was Gary Whitta, who I freaking adore. Of course, Gary Whitta. His big movie, to date, is Book of Eli.
I mean, Star Wars is bigger than Book of Eli, though.
Rogue One in particular. But when I think Gary Whitta, I immediately think Book of Eli. And he also wrote... now I can't remember what the name of the book is, but he wrote a really interesting book that I got through like a Kickstarter-esque website that I think is way past defunct by now.
Is Book of Eli the one with Denzel Washington?
He's the blind guy who's carrying around the Bible.
Yep, I really enjoy
Ditto.
it.
So, you know, I too enjoy good movies set in established universes that help expand the universe and not just... Actually, I like anything that helps expand an established universe. The reason why I say that is that there was a game that I just recently reviewed, Blaze Blue Entropy Effect, which is set in the Blaze Blue universe. Blaze Blue is... I would equate it to basically like an alternate to Guilty Gear fighting games. And so Blaze Blue Entropy Effect, it's not really a fighting game. It's a rogue platformer side-scrolling game. And the weird thing about it is that all the stories, the whole story in that game is not canon for the universe. So... that drives me nuts, okay? If you are going to put something in an established universe, put something that actually grows the universe further, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, but by the same token, I would say, especially for video games, outside of some of the big ones like the Mass Effect worlds, and some of those, where like the canon story isn't quite as integral, I think, to the overall enjoyment as something like Star Wars. And I think that's like Star Wars, for example, is so weighed down in a way by its overall canon. Whereas many video games, you come out with a different video game in that universe, and it could be totally non-related to the canon, and I think it can still work. I feel like there's very different weights of expectations of following that canon of video games versus movies, for better or for worse.
I disagree. I mean, the thing is, Guilty Gear did something like this. They made it, I think it was like an action game that had some of the Guilty Gear characters in it. And it built on, you know, it may not have like put a shit ton of extra information onto the established universe lore and stuff, but at least wasn't, at the end of the day, it wasn't you learn all this about all these characters, and oh, by the way, none of this actually carries over to anything else in this universe.
But at the same time, many video games, you can jump in to a random number video game, like any series, much easier in video games
No,
than
I'm not
movies.
saying that you
Like
can't play another game in the universe without playing this game. I'm just saying that it would have been cool to get like more of like an origin story of how things got to where they are. It's not
Fair enough.
required reading, but it's like addendums and appendixes to help flesh out. It's like all those, when you play Dungeons and Dragons, you have your monster manual, your player's guide, and your dungeon master manual. And then you have supplementals that help that can help flesh out campaigns and stuff. And I wanted that when it came to that Blaze Blue game. I was excited. I was like, oh, okay, so this is kind of cool. This is how everything ended up the way it is. Everything's a virtual reality thing. No, it's not right.
But did you still enjoy the game?
I did for about 80% of the game. And then I felt like they tacked on a bunch of like mindless quests to make you go for a longer time. It's like, oh, by the way, in the game, after you finish each area, you get to choose one of 3 paths most of the time. Some of these paths will take you to an area where you can gain or enhance if you have electrical power. You could do that, or sometimes there's like a rest area which will help you regain your health, because you don't regain your health between areas. And so, but there's also like a kind of like a shop area, and one of the late quests was like you have to spend 10,000 credits in the shop. You don't get that much credits, so that alone is like 12 or 13 runs to potentially, and you also, like I said, it's random, so you don't always hit the shops enough to spend that much credit. So I was just like, wow, this is a busybody quest.
Well, was it a side quest or a mandatory quest?
It was
or is it a side quest that you needed to do to get a certain thing to make your life easier?
It was basically one of the last quests you're given. However, you didn't have to defeat it to beat the game, which I found out after the fact. I was like, oh, okay, let's do this. It's like, hooray, you won the game. I'm like, I haven't completed that quest yet. Apparently that wasn't required, because it doesn't tell you that it's not required.
It doesn't differentiate between like required and not required quests?
It's not like a lot of, for those of you out there who may not play a lot of RPG games, a lot of RPG games, they have your main quest and then they have your side quest. Side quests, of course, are basically optional quests that can help either enhance your character, get you special items, maybe unlock something later in the game. And then, of course, your main quest is what drives the story. In this one, literally, you had like an assignment or objective tab, and it just listed. Once you got it, it got listed there. It didn't tell you what, this will advance the story, or this is just for shits and giggles. You didn't know. That's why I beat the game when I didn't want to beat the game. Because in Blaze Blue Entropy Effect, now of course you could just go read the review over at Alta Confusion, but I'll just tell you right now, there is like, it's an optional thing that you need, that you can do, and you're collecting these items that sometimes randomly drop when you beat bosses through the runs, and those you have to collect enough of those to unlock these phenomena, which actually unlocks like these little cutscenes that give you a lot of the background of the story. And if you collect them all, I think you get a different ending than what I got. But I didn't know that I had hit the ending. until like, congratulations, you can continue on and play New Game Plus. Doing so, you retain all of the characters you've unlocked, all of the enhancements you've done. However, all the story-driven stuff, be it all the objectives or quests, and all the phenomena get erased. And I was like 3 pieces of phenomena away from having that perfect bit right there.
Oh,
so
that's
yes. So anyway, so now that we've got completely off the Star Wars project, there apparently is. Hopefully, we'll hear more about the Star Wars Rogue Squadron project. Okay, now moving on to the next topic. This one is in Zealeus's wheelhouse, or was in Zealeus's wheelhouse. He's taken quite a bit of time off from this, but the Final Fantasy XIV director has come out and said that he greatly regrets the fact that he made the MMO so stress-free and wishes he could go back and make it more stressful for the gamers.
Yeah, I think honestly that's more endemic of MMOs in general, and that there's definitely a thing in MMOs where like because like the in-game content is still stressful and difficult, but I think he's talking about is like the middle stuff is not hard, which is accurate. But I think it's very common in MMOs. Like most MMOs I've played, like that grind to get from level 0 to whatever, like 60, 70, 80, whatever it is, it's like mid-tier, right? Like it's really not that hard. Like it's meant that like most any build, like for your character, can like make it to that in-game content. So like on one hand, I get what Yoshi P is saying, where like add some moments where it's not necessarily easy for the gamer, but at the same time, that's a very normal thing, especially for online PvE type of games. And it's very much in contrast to single player games, right? Like, because you think like, I mean, the Souls games I consider an outlier, but even like most single player RPGs still have like some mobs that can F you up, or like there'll be like boss battles throughout it that are necessarily easy. Like you actually have to have some health potions and stuff to make it through. So I think it's very different world of single player, RPG versus the online world, which obviously Final Fantasy XIV is set in, where that's very much kind of the way it is. What I've always kind of drove me a little bit nuts is the overly simplistic like dungeon designs of like every MMO getting up to endgame, where it's literally like, oh no, there's one single red thing on the floor. Make sure you don't step in that. Oh no, that was so difficult. And so that's always kind of been a pet peeve of mine, honestly, where it's like every MMO is pretty dang simple until you get to that end game. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, congratulations, you reached end game. Now we're going to hit you with a brick on the side of the head and make it super difficult.
It drop a wall
just kind
on
of like
you.
Escalate. Yeah, it just escalates. It's like flat, and it's like it's not linear or a nice little parabolic curve. It's like a cliff you have to jump up.
Yeah.
And grapple. So that's definitely a thing that I'm glad he recognizes. I don't know what they're going to do about it.
I mean, could they just? I don't. I mean, me coming from the I don't play MMOs thing. I'm assuming. I mean, they could add, I guess, more stress in the expansions, but you still need gamers to buy into the expansion. However, the last expansion they apparently had too many buy-in, so
it is kind of funny that he's saying this now with the popularity of Final Fantasy XIV, and I think there's a rational argument to be made that by the same token, making it so accessible to so many gamers is also what has led to its overall success, because especially from the level 1 to 90 grind, by making it more difficult, you're really catering to a much narrow band of players. Then if you just make it, you still have to do stuff. Like you just can't stand and stupid the entire time. Oh, well, now you can, but back in the day you couldn't. So, yeah. But there's also power scaling. Like what I mean by that is like when you get to level, when you have really good gear for your character, either because you bought good gear, or you are like level 90 and you have really high level gear, they do what's called level sync. So if you're in a level 50 dungeon, you still max out at like level 52. So you don't like one shot everything, but at the same time, like you do want to feel that power creep. Like you want to feel like you are more powerful than a level 50 guy with like boring gear, right? Like, because that's why you play these games, right? Is the treadmill. So it's a balance. I just hope they don't do it in the method of like, let's just give the enemy more HP, because that's boring. Like bullet sponges are boring to fight against. But I would say that having more interesting fights, like especially against bosses, where it's like more interesting mechanics, I don't think anybody would be really opposed to that.
There you go. Yeah, I've totally, with when it comes to some of the few online games that I've played, and some of the puzzles that are been beyond mailed in, just to like advance the story. Like, oh, we need a puzzle here. Okay, you have to hit the 3 magic runes in the right order, but there's no penalty for getting it out of order. So you just like tap, 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 tap. Oh, there we go.
I feel a game that actually does that well is Guild Wars 2, because they have like your main story stuff that you can do, but then they have all like the crazy jumping puzzles that you can also do. And like that, they're like, you can figure it out on your own, or you can follow what I do and watch YouTube video to guide you. But if you want those difficult puzzles, Guild Wars 2 absolutely has them. And like it's a shared, I mean, they're all shared zones. So you're going to interact with people, but they can't screw you up in those type of puzzles either. Like you might see a lot of people trying to do the jumping puzzles, but you're still doing it like on your own. So that would actually be a game that I think does that well is Guild Wars 2, where, I mean, the leveling up process is not hard, but you could do those other side content to make it more interesting.
Gotcha. Well, that's I brought up that I found that topic and I wanted to bring it up because I knew that you would have something to say about it. So
I think the other hardest part of like, so you do a lot of, and every MMO does this now for dungeons, where you can do like random dungeons to like from like the leveling ups. But the problem is if there's like, let's just say 50 dungeons in a game, because it's been around for a while, like, and you get one dungeon a day, you're not going to remember the super complex mechanics from random dungeon 42. So you also need to be able to balance like having mechanics that the player just can't stand there and literally not do anything, versus making it so that like you don't have to study a guide before every time you go fight it either.
Yeah. True. Okay. Let me look at my cheat sheet here. Let's talk about.
Yep. What about like a Souls like MMO? What would you think of like something where it's like actually like the opposite of the fantasy park MMOs we have now, where it's like you actually really have to
the thing about a Souls like MMO that would scare the crap out of me is the fact that everyone would need like a perfect internet connection, because it is so much Souls, for better or for worse. If you suck at Souls, it's because you suck. It's not the game trying to cheat you out. There's no real, oh, well, it's because the hitbox is too big or too small or something like that. No, it's just because you don't know how to successfully block and parry and all that other crap. And it is, Souls is a game that is a grind, not like it's one of those games that once you pick up, you can't put it down, simply because you don't want to lose your skill set, because it's you basically play the game on a razor's edge the entire time. Now, I do like, I don't know if they still do this because I suck at Souls games, so I stopped doing this. But once upon a time, in the early days of Souls games, if you basically were getting the crap kicked out of you enough, the difficulty of the game would ramp down to make it a little easier for you. And as you started gaining that momentum of doing okay, I'm not saying awesome, but okay, then it started ramping it back up.
They did
Okay.
not do that for
Well,
Bloodborne, which is why I gave up, because I suck at those games. I don't have the patience
I
for
played
them.
too many. I played too many different games. I was playing. I was playing a game on the Switch the other day, and literally because the Switch control layout is different than the Xbox layout, instead of hitting to interact with objects in this game, you had to hit X. Well, X is at the top
Yep.
on a Switch controller, yet it is the left button on an Xbox controller. So I can't tell you how many times I accidentally hit Y, which is throw grapple. And so I'm like standing next to something that all I got to do is hit X, and it's like through the grapple again. I'm like, you son of a bitch.
So
Yes.
I have worse. So in Balatro, it's the card game I've been playing. You have it like you have like
Yep.
X number of cards in your hand, and your strategy is you usually want to discard cards to get a better hand. So you select 4 cards. It's X and Y to one. I can't remember right now which one it is, but one is to discard, and the other is to play the cards you selected. Every time I do it, I have to look at my actual like joystick. Like, wait, am I pressing X or Y? Because the number of times I've wanted to discard the cards, I played like a 2, 4, 7, 8 offsuit, and that's what I play.
No. Same thing. Same deal. But the A and B, same game, by the way. A is to jump. B is to basically do nothing. It's just to back out. And you have just a few times in this game. I think it's called. Oh, what the hell was it called? Adam's Venture Origins, I believe is what it's called. And there's a couple times where you actually have to jump at a specific time. Oh, B will also cancel your grappling hook. So if you're swinging for something, you actually hit B, you will fall to your death. Or you'll. I have hit B where I've flown over my intended area and died, and I've hit B before that. But yes, God, stupid controller schemes.
Yeah. Yes, it's the good old meme. The Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo all have them in different locations.
Anywho. Okay, so I think this still is basically the hot ticket item. Helldivers 2 came out with a new patch recently, and the CEO of Arrowhead Games came out and had to apologize for the way the developers were interacting with the gamers, because the gamers really thought that some of the crap that the developers had in their previous or their latest patch was absolute horseshit. It changed it changed some of the meta. It screwed up some of the weapons, and it made gamers rage. And the developers basically took it personally and started saying shit back to them. And as much as it pains me to say this, unless I, of course, am the person who's complaining, the consumer is always right.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I get it. You're the developer. You're very passionate about your project. But like 101 out of 100 times, engaging with the fans in that kind of way is not going to come of any good. Like, it's not going to actually help your cause or solve anything. It's just going. The only way it helps is if you're like, oh, you know what? Alt confusion. That's actually a good point. We will think about that in our further patch updates. Thank you for letting us know.
There's this. Okay, so here's the thing, and Zealeus and I have talked about this, and many of the people that we've talked to and had on the Thursday Hangout. The internet makes being a dick a lot easier for a lot of people. And so they just let their rage flag fly. I, for the most part, hopefully, fingers crossed, try to give constructive criticism, not belittling the developer's family, their parents, and all that stuff. That being said, there probably were a lot of constructive criticism that the developers probably being slightly overworked because they're trying to push out patches to keep everybody happy, because that's the formula for success now, is that you have to constantly be updating shit. If you're overworked, you're a little stressed. Sometimes even the most innocent of comments can set you off, and you could just go bananas. And you've got to watch yourself.
Yeah, it's so Last Epoch, which came out a couple of weeks ago, there was actually a couple of days there where all of the EHG 11th Hour game developers actually stopped, like signed off of Discord and Reddit for a couple of days, because the CEO was like, yep, this is just too stressful and we're just not even paying attention. And that's a totally valid thing to do. And it is just, and it's not just this, it's like in general, like if social media starts getting you and being like, oh no, like XYZ is terrible and my life is in shambles, and it's because social media is causing it, probably a good time just to sign off and step outside at that point.
Agreed. Now, that being said, I do want to drop a bit of information for everyone. There's always people out there who want to have remakes of games that were, close to their heart when they were growing up, and now they just think, it's time that we see this remake. And there has been, especially since the Final Fantasy VII stuff has been taking off, there has been an even bigger outcry for a remake of Final Fantasy Tactics. The individuals who work at Square Enix who potentially would have that project go across their desk, which they have not had that project go across their desk as of yet, but a couple of people have come out and said, look, you want for us to gain some momentum and be able to make a Final Fantasy Tactics remake or an update or whatever, remaster, buy Unicorn Overlord. That's what they're saying. Unicorn Overlord is not their Lord, is not theirs. However, it is really in the same vein. Unicorn Overlord is by Atlas, which I think, once again, I don't know what it is, but every single time I think about it, I don't know what, I really don't know why. I always choose like the other, the alternative, right? So when everyone had an iPod in the early days, I got the Microsoft Zune. When everybody went Command and Conquer, I did KKND, Crush, Kill, and Destroy. When everybody was going Final Fantasy Tactics, I bought a game by, at the time, a not very known internationally company named Atlas, and the game was called Cardia, which I still have, by the way, because I just saw it the other day. It's a PlayStation 1 game. It's a phenomenal game, though it really has aged now. But I have heard nothing but good things about Unicorn Overlord. I highly recommend. I think that you would, if anyone likes that tactics style game, they probably should check that game out. I will not be anytime soon because I accidentally stumbled upon a closed beta for a game that I kickstarted, and it is the spiritual successor to the Suikoden series. And I'm already close to 3 hours in. I will fully admit that I've had a couple of panic attacks of, oh shit, already. I'm in the beta. I'm already having some panic attacks of, God, I hope I don't miss any of the characters, because the Suikoden series is famous for having you collect 108 characters throughout the game. And I'll fully admit that Suikoden 1, I had 106 Suikoden. I never played Suikoden 2. Suikoden 3, I had 98, and Suikoden 4, I think I had 90. So I never got to that 108 thing. But after Suikoden 1, I was never going to be able to. I couldn't handle the level of stress trying to get all 108.
So is it always
Yeah,
108 in
it's the
Suikoden
Stars
games?
of Destiny.
So okay, question for you. But those JRPGs, when you have like 80 billion characters you can choose from, do you intermingle and like try playing them all and see what works the best? Or are you one of those who just picks like, oh, I've had this one since the beginning, so I know their strengths, weaknesses, or these are my 4 favorite characters, so screwed. I'm just picking these 4 no matter what happens.
In Suikoden, not all the characters are actually playable. A lot of the characters are individuals that will help you in another way. Like you'll collect a blacksmith or 2 blacksmiths so that now you can upgrade your stuff to another level. You can also collect in the early Suikodens. I don't know about this one, but you could collect guys that will collect materials for you. But in terms of your team structure, Suikoden always had, like, if you had a certain selection of characters within your party, you could do special moves. And so what I would do is that if once I gained all the characters required for that special move, I would just kind of grind for a little bit to see how that felt. And if it didn't work, I would go back to, the tried and true, right? So I'll be fully honest with you. In all those games, I don't think I ever played with every single character. But if there was if it sounded like it was going to make a difference, then I would at least try it out. I currently just found my 6th character. So did I? Yes, I found my 6th character.
I think a game like Scarlet Nexus, where like you started off, you have like these 4 or 5 characters for like 60% of the game, and all of a sudden, like the other half of the party, like 4 of them, oh, now I can select these 4. And for me, like at this point, like I've already invested so much time and skill in like how to use their skills for like these 4. I'm like, yeah, nope, sorry. Like I'm sure you're cool, but
yeah,
no, I'm
in the same boat as you with that. What's interesting is in the spiritual successor for the Suikoden series, which I'm going to butcher the name, but I'm going to try, the Yuden Chronicle, 100 Heroes. It is, when I've picked up new characters, you automatically get whatever the level is set to. So you can see it like...
that's cool.
So my main character is level 9, and I just found my 6th character, so I finally have a full squad. And the guy I picked up is level 6, which tells me that I could have picked him up earlier, and I probably could have had an easier time and wouldn't have had to use so many health potions on the boss fight that I had. But that being said, I did survive. And I was telling Zealeus before the show, ironically, in the very first battle of that game, at my first battle ever, one of the enemies lucked out and crit killed one of my characters right off the bat. And thankfully, it is not Fire Emblem, where once a character is dead, it is dead for life. I can't do those games anymore. I can't. It's too fucking stressful because you're looking at a game where you've spent so much time and effort, and this is your squad, and for some, unlucky shot or effect to happen, and then to lose that character, and then everybody else is like, I don't know, 20 levels behind you. So now you're just putting one guy in for cannon fodder the rest of the game. That's just no. Yeah, I can't.
You just can't handle it.
I can't.
I get that.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's pause real quick to do the wonderful part of the show where we give you the shout-outs for these amazing individuals who help Ultra Confusion be the Ultra Confusion that you love and adore, and that, of course, is the friends of the show. And so without further ado, let's start off with the Indie Cluster. The Indie Cluster is an organization of independent game developers that want to gain exposure by being involved in the community. They collectively journey to popular conferences as a traveling booth to help gain attention for their games. They make partnerships in local communities to bring games to the mainstream mindset. They highlight local, unusual, and rare concepts to challenge the paradigm of the common. They also host events to teach kids and minority groups about game development to hopefully one day enter the industry themselves. For more information, go to indiecluster.com. Next shout out we got to give is to the AV master himself, Noodle Boy Media. Oh, if I can hit that. There we go. Founded in 2015 by Andrew Tran, Noodle Boy Media, previously White Kid 47 Media, is your choice for professional photo shoots and panel recordings at conventions. They pride themselves in providing a high level of professionalism, top-notch experiences, and quality services. If you want more information and to view their full list of services, check out facebook.com/noodleboymedia. Now, if you are in the greater Atlanta area and you've got some aches and pains from gaming just a little too much, then may I give you Hero Chiropractic. Hero Chiropractic's unique healthcare practice set up by Ryan Moore, the company's focus to elevate a patient's experience of freedom, creative expression, and joy. They believe that everyone can be a hero and has incredible heroic potential inside themselves waiting to be unleashed. Hero Chiropractic focuses on mobile chiropractic care in the greater Atlanta area. They are committed to healing clients by creating a plan of action uniquely suited for each person. They make that plan of action as convenient and affordable as possible, and most importantly, suited to your individual needs. For more information, go to herochiropractic.com. Now, if you're looking for some music, may I introduce you to CrossPad Creative. Need a new logo or want to work on a full branding and content strategy? Or maybe you need music or audio for your content, just like Alter Confusion. CrossPad Creative offers a whole host of solutions for individuals and small businesses. Just email Josh at crosspadcreative@gmail.com and see what he can do for you. And, of course, the final shout-out we got to give is to the original supporter of Alter Confusion. That, of course, is Agile Axiom. By day, Axe leads both the development team and system administration team working with satellites at NASA's Goddard campus. But while not in meetings and many times during, he is the Agile evangelist, Agile Axe, championing the philosophy of Agile and trying to make the world a better place for software developers, testers, system admins, and software projects the world over. Decades of experience in software development and leading Agile teams are brought to bear against evil processes, inefficient work, and bad habits. For more information and to check out his book, go to agileaxiom.com. Now, of course, at this moment, you've got to be asking yourself, my God, how do I become a friend of the show? Well, it's quite simple, my friends, and I will tell you right now. Ladies and gentlemen, Ultra Confusion survives on the love and support of fans like you, and so we have a Patreon page. Patreon lets you, the fans, lovers, haters, demigods, interdimensional beings, gods, demons, aliens, mummies, werewolves, vampires, swamp creatures, supporters, and more to become active participants in the work we love through a monthly membership. This gives you access to exclusive content, community, and insight into our creative process. In exchange, we gain a bit more freedom to do our best work and the stability we need to build an even stronger creative career. We currently have 2 tiers. We have a $1 tier that's $1 a month or $12 a year. And what that gets you is early access to all of our playthroughs, as well as the ability to participate in patron-only posts. Then if you're feeling a little frisky, you can always bump it up to $5 a month. That's $5 a month or $60 a year. Not only do you get everything at the $1 tier, but you also have your name or organization added to the Friends of the Show section of every single Thursday night hangout. So, if you want to be a patron of Alter Confusion, go to Patreon. That's patreon.com/Altered Confusion today. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the next bit of announcement, it's not going to be surprising, but I, of course, am excited to announce that for the 13th straight year, Alter Confusion will be fundraising for Extra Life. Extra Life is gamers doing what they do best, game, to help sick and injured children at their chosen Children's Miracle Network hospital. The money that we raise through through Extra Life will go directly to Children's Healthcare Atlanta as unrestricted funds. This means that the hospital decides where and how to spend the money to ensure the dollars we raise make the biggest impact in the lives of the kids they treat. So if you have the capacity to donate, please go to extra-life.org and search for Altered Confusion.
Only $175 to go to get your
Yes.
T-shirt.
Oh, by the way, dang it, I really need to do at some point in the very, very near future, I'm going to wear my T-shirt and show off all the extra life stuff that I gained this past year, because
You should wear the cape.
The cape is actually Children's Healthcare Atlanta. Healthcare of Atlanta.
Well,
absolutely fine. I'll wear the cape. I'll wear the T-shirt. I've got my dice holder, the dice roll thing, and I also gained a silver medal this year through Extra Life. So I'll take a picture of all that stuff in the very, very near future to show off.
You should just wear the silver medal everywhere. Be like, you're gonna play your basketball games, just have the silver medal.
People on side the heads. That's right.
That's right.
I give to the children. Anyways,
I'm gonna have to go there soon, but they won't see me because I'm too old.
Oh. Well, I get to see Children's Healthcare of Atlanta once a week now. Well, across the street. My physical therapist for my ankle rehab is right across the street from Choa. So, all right. Now, let us talk about the fact that there is been confirmed another Super Mario Brothers movie coming in 2026. Now,
2026?
Miyamoto has already come out and said this is not going to be a sequel. This is going to expand the Mario experience, which I don't know what that means.
Well, that's exactly what Mr.
That means. Are we going to add more franchises into the Mario, like try to sneak a bunch of other stuff? Because we had Donkey Kong. If you're paying real close attention, you had Jumpman, which was basically Mario before Mario. I believe at some point Mario was playing Kid Icarus, so you have that as well.
You could go to Super Smash Brothers and just throw in a bunch of random Nintendo IPs.
Samus makes an appearance. Who knows?
I'm gonna say it could be the stealth Samus movie we've been waiting on.
I just want
forever.
the Zelda movie. Okay, let's just go to Zelda. I'm sure haven't.
I want
that would be awesome
movie.
too. Let's. I think what's going to happen is if the Zelda movie is a huge enough success, which I think it will be if they do it right, then I think that Metroid is probably the next one. I think that's probably on the short list.
Or we just do Super Smash Brothers and we get all of them together.
Mortal
in one big
Kombat,
movie.
but Nintendo style.
What could possibly go wrong? But what's the theme song like? What is it going to be? Or Mortal Kombat?
Believe me, I've heard the Super Smash Brothers song enough. It stands out on its own. You know when someone's playing Smash Brothers. There's no vocals needed. But anyways, Miyamoto has come out
I need to check
and said that he's broadening Mario's world. So I don't know what that truly means. If it's actually going to expand
galaxy, it's going to be in space.
I mean, it might. They kind of teased the fact that they had the that Star kid there who was freaking awesome. Very doom and gloom. It was a great. So maybe they add some other princesses in there. They need to have Yoshi. Yes. Technically, there was a herd of Yoshi in the background of one of the scenes, but let's bring an actual Yoshi to the forefront. How about that?
What about making Luigi the central? Maybe Luigi's
Haunted Mansion.
Yeah, that could be the theme.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. That was already in the first one.
Damn it.
I don't know. We'll we'll see. But there is a new Mario coming out. It's been confirmed. It'll be out 2026. So in 2 years. All right. So
nice.
Remember last week we were talking about how EA was dropping a bunch of their classic hits onto Steam?
That was last
so
week.
EA
no.
dropped a bunch of their content onto Steam. And this had a disastrous effect to Steam charts. And that is because
Oh,
there were, unbeknownst to a lot of developers out there, EA basically just decided one day, like, we're just going to drop it all on Steam. There was no big announcement. It was one of those shadow drops. And so what happened with these wonderful shadow drops is it basically effed over every single developer who released right about that time. So you had a bunch of developers who were excited because, look, I'm in the top 10. And then EA proceeded to drop, I think, like 15 or 20 games. And so all of a sudden, you're in the top 10. You're now, as once upon a time, there's this thing called a newspaper. It was this piece of paper that you held that you got every single morning, and it gave you the news. And there's this term
nice.
called above the fold. You always wanted your stuff above the fold, and that is the front of the paper. Now, of course,
Yep.
when you unfold it, there's still
Yep.
two pieces, but the best real estate is the top fold. And so a lot of these developers were seeing all their stuff get dropped at least to the bottom fold, if not further into the thing. And so there was a game. There is a game. I'm not saying it's not like the game's gone, but there's a game called Potions: A Curious Tale, which was getting a lot of hype. It looks amazing. The developer said, my indie game I worked on for 10 years was immediately bumped off new and trending by EA spam releasing 11 titles at once. All of the build-up, marketing, and momentum squashed in an instance. And this is just one developer, and there's a ton of other developers. Now, that being said, if you go to Steam right now and you go to the new and trending, you're not always going to have to just battle the EAs and the big boys just dropping whenever they want to. You'll also have to deal with the weird shovelware games. What's very popular, at least once, maybe all the time. I don't know. I check to see what's the new hot thing on Steam from time to time, but there's always like that weird niche like hentai puzzle game that of course is knocking somebody who actually should be in that trending thing out because it's some kind of scam thing to get a bunch of horny young men to buy into a piece of shit.
This never shows up on my list. I'm convinced like you're living in some like weird alternate universe, like the Truman Show, where it's like Truman's hentai game instead.
No,
And
if
it's
you
just
go,
for you.
hold on, I'm going to pull up Steam right now, and I'm going to go. I know no one can see this, but I'm going to go to Steam, and I am going to go to store, and I am looking. Wow, they redid the look of this. Gosh darn it. That's going to make it harder for me, isn't it?
All the time.
Oh my gosh. What did they... Oh my lord. What the... Usually they have like the... Okay, maybe it's up here. Okay, new and noteworthy. How about that? Can I go there? New releases. New and noteworthy releases. If you go to the popular new releases, there is in the top, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There are 1, 2 like nudity hentai games. And then you have a bunch of other games I have no idea what the hell they are. But actually, there's a lot of tower defense right now.
Is this the new releases
This
you're
is
looking at?
the popular new releases. Not new releases, but popular new releases. Anyways. So it's unfortunate but this is the world we live in with the digital distribution. One thing that the best laid plans can get absolutely just squashed when EA, like a company like EA, just drops everything.
You don't want to play the
No.
horse game? Come on. Or go play in a
No,
summer
I'm
house?
Good. No, I'm good.
Just saying, looks like there's many options here.
Anyway, so it's for Ultra Confusion, who loves to support the indie developers. It really hurts my heart when an indie developer who did everything right that they need to do to keep their name in a golden position to get some eyes on the game, because of EA, it gets knocked right off that list.
It's the world of video games. I'm not sure. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that happens.
Speaking of video games getting knocked off, let's talk about the fact that Warner Brothers continues its like murder-suicide ways. Now, of course, last week we talked about the fact that they shuttered Rooster Teeth, and this week it looks like they are going after any game that was published under the Adult Swim label. They're basically giving all the developers 60 days to basically say goodbye. And the weird thing is that there have been a lot of developers who are like, look, we want to keep our games up there. Because the thing is that technically a lot of these games could republish a lot of developers could republish their games underneath their own label. But the problem is that when they do that, they lose all of that the community discussions, all the achievements, all the Steam cards, all of that stuff goes out the window, because now it's considered a new thing. There have been several developers who've actually reached out to Warner Brothers and basically requested or pleaded with them to say, look, can you just do there is a way to basically transfer ownership of a Steam page over to someone else. It's apparently like really simple. And Warner Brothers has basically come out. I want to see if I can get the exact where's that verbiage that they said. Damn it, where the hell is it?
You just hide it.
Oh man, I can't find it now. Shoot.
In the ones and zeros.
Where is it? Oh, damn! It's a weird ass line.
Is it basically like, sorry, we can't do this because we're jerks?
They cannot transfer the game due to the fact that they made the decision not to transfer ownership due to logistical and resource constraints. It's literally like 3 clicks and you're done.
It's their way of saying, nope, we're not going to. Sorry, sucks to you.
Dude, this is that.
I like it. We can't do it because we made the decision not to.
Like, look, what we're going to do is we're going to shutter all these pages. We don't want to actually do any work except for hit terminate.
We can't do the second click to say transfer, we accept. That we accept is one too many clicks. Yeah, I mean, that really does suck for those developers where there is actually a viable path to transfer the ownership. And they're not able to get that done.
Yeah.
Like, that really does.
So, one of the games, and the other thing is some of these games are like old. There's a game that is on the chopping block, or the hit list, I should say, called Fist Puncher. It has been out for 11 years. All they got, and literally all Warner Bros. Has to do. It's not like they have like a shit ton of games. Apparently, there's like 18 of these games. 18. So 18 times 3, whatever that is, that's 4 carrier 2, 64 clicks. That's it. 64 clicks. No, it should not be.
Should not be that hard.
Logistic and and resource constraints. You don't have like 2 people. Divide that up. Okay, now it's 32 clicks. Okay, you got 2 more people. You've got 4 people doing this. Okay, that's 16 clicks a person. They do that probably in 2 hours just going through their fucking email box.
Sounds like they just don't want to give up any potential rights that are theirs.
They're basically saying, if you want to put it back up on Steam, that's fine. Then just give it to them. Why are you fucking them over?
It sets a precedent of not being nice.
So, yeah. It's total. Warner Brothers is really getting on a lot of people's shit list right now. Yeah,
they have been for a while.
I am happy to see that. I saw this before the Rooster Teeth the news. Well, I can't say words. The Rooster Teeth news last week, but Ruby is available on Crunchyroll, so it's not like Rooster Teeth shuttering means that you can't still watch the backlog of Ruby episodes that you've been missing out on.
I know. I saw that. I'm like, ooh, all 9 seasons are on Crunchyroll. Very
okay, so the last story that I've got surrounds a game that has been canceled at least 3 times. But it apparently is finally going to come out. And this is going to sound really weird, but this game has been in the works for 22 years. And that is a game called
Duke Nukem 40.
Kien. Now, what makes this game very unique, with the exception of being thrice canceled and been off and on worked on for 22 years, ladies and gentlemen, this game is coming out for your Game Boy Advance. Yep.
What?
Kine is coming out for the Game Boy Advance in second quarter of 2024.
I didn't know that was possible.
That I think it's the case of there are still people out there, or still companies out there that develop games for the Sega Dreamcast. I think it's literally just another case of that. Somebody had some old SDK.
How many are they going to sell? How many are they actually going to sell?
I don't know.
So I'd be curious of. Can't be a lot.
I don't know. But it must be enough because they have to sell physical copies of this game.
Why don't they just do the magic and put it on Steam? Solve all the problems.
Different SDK, different code base.
It's code. It's just magic.
As much as I would love to say that's all it would take.
Ask ChatGPT to just take your code from the Game Boy Advance and just make it into Steam code.
Yeah.
Isn't that how it works?
Maybe there is an importer that can take your GBA code and shove it into, I don't know, Unity or something. But at this point, Unity, it's probably going to cost you a shit ton of money through Unity now.
It would all work flawlessly. I'm sure it would be done properly and be no issues or errors. So I just don't know why it's not done.
I don't. I think I'm pretty sure I still have a GBA around somewhere, but I'm going to be totally honest with you. I'm not picking this game up. Sorry. Not sorry.
Oh. You're missing out, man. You didn't know you wanted it until now.
No, I'm good. Thank you, though. I've already got a game that's taken up all my time. I don't need to see if my GPA can actually handle being on. Hell, I'm pretty sure that the batteries in there are probably fused in there by now. Though I will say, my favorite thing about the GBA was back in the GameCube days, Legend of Zelda Tale of Four Swords, where you use the GBA as your like personal controller for a multiplayer Zelda game or Zelda game, where everyone's a different colored Link, and then you could go into things, and then the action would pop onto your GBA, and then you could, once you're back into the other area, you could go back in there, had like all your stats and your inventory and stuff. It was really cool. I liked it, and I wish that when the Wii U came out that they had found a way to make the Wii Pad, the Wii U handle for Wii Pads, and give us a remake of the Four Swords. But of course that didn't happen, and now that maybe the Switch 2 will have something like that. I don't know. Yes.
So in case you were curious, Kind is a very challenging game. In some ways, it is a pre-Souls-like game where the fights are always very intense and challenging. And how much do you think the game is to purchase? $60 US.
Because all the physical stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I know it costs money, but I hope they're making them on demand and not like printing out a bunch of copies and hoping they sell them.
I would think you would have to have an inventory. I don't know if you could do on demand.
I would probably agree, but that's a very interesting choice to make at this point in a console's life.
Agreed. All right, so Zealeus, you still on the Last Epoch bandwagon as of late?
Indeed, I'm still playing the Last Epoch, and Balatro are currently in my games of choice.
Like I said, I just completed Adam's Venture Origins, so I'll be writing that up soon. And of course, now that I'm in the closed beta for the Uiden Chronicle, which of course is the Suikoden spiritual successor, which I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that one of the masterminds behind Suikoden also recently just passed away. So it's a sad day.
Indeed, it is.
So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, I think unless Zealeus has any closing thoughts or anything you would like to add.
I'm back to playing Final Fantasy 14 also, by the way. Well, the expansion for Dawn Trail, it's coming out, so I need to get like all my shit complete in preparation.
Oh, I
of
am
the next
also
expansion.
playing Berserk Boy, which is kind of like it's like a Mega Man-esque type game, and it's been a lot of fun. It's on the Switch.
I'm very confused. So on Berserk.
Yep.
On Crunchyroll, there's two different Berserks, and I'm like,
okay,
I don't know
so
which one
the
of these to watch. I'm so
Golden
confused.
Egg Arch is the one that you've already seen.
So is the other one actually a new one since then?
I think so. I'm still pissed at that original release that I haven't gone back and rewatched the stuff, okay? Or watched an additional thing.
Fair.
I've been bouncing around Crunchyroll and watching a bunch of other random stuff as of late. So which was the Shangri-La Frontiers, great anime. They are not done with the first season. They're still slowly releasing the dubs, but it is a phenomenal anime. Great opening soundtrack as well. So anyway, all right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to the Ultra Confusion Thursday Night Hangout. For myself, Charlie, and Zealeus, it's been a pleasure getting ready to come our heads, our mouths, and of course, our hearts. We'll be back next Thursday for another Ultra Confusion Thursday Night Hangout.
And remember, kids, keep on gaming in the free world.